Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here's today's comic. This is Hawkman number 8 by Robert Venditti, Brian Hitch. I should have been reviewing this comic since the beginning. I've been collecting it since about issue number 4, and I was behind on reading it, and I like to review like the most current books and anyways, what have you. I realized as it got up to issue 8 coming out, I was like, I haven't even reviewed a single one of these. And this is the best comic of 2018 that's not called White Knight. Best ongoing series. This is Hawkman. I did a video of issues 1 through 7 that I called Advocating for Hawkman because I wanted to review these books. I was going to start at number 8, the most current issue. And if you jumped in, a lot of my reviews, by the way, this is spoilers. A lot of my reviews are spoilers just because I like to not just review the book, but I like to talk about the book. I presume a lot of the people that I'm speaking to, if you're listening, you either haven't read the book, and maybe you're not gonna unless I can talk you into it, or you have read the book. Either way, I can't really talk to you about it if I don't explain or show what happens in the book. And I don't want to just give a simple review and just be like, hey, this is why you should buy it at the end. Like I said, I'm part of this channel so I can join the conversation on comics. My buddy, Sergeant Bats, who I do a weekly podcast-style show live stream with, just did his review I watched, and he had really good things to say about the book. One of the things he talked about was the cover. He had the A cover. This is the B cover here, and he talked about how it was such a DC cover. He was like, "Look at this! This is such a DC cover." And then I thought about this B cover, and I'm like, "Look at this B cover! This is such a DC cover." I'm not really super fond of this old school. I mean, I like it for nostalgia factor, but that's it. Like, I think it's kind of cornball, but I can appreciate it from that nostalgic way. So let's get into it. I love, and I'm going to assume that you're either reading Hawkman yourself, or you've already watched the video that I posted advocating for Hawkman, which covers issues 1 through 7, which is the first story arc. I love how Robert Venditti always starts off with this great front page establishing shot, and then he's got this really cool narration to set the tone. All that is Krypton is... Wait, start over. Take 2. All that Krypton is now. Everyone knows the tale. A planet in its death throes. As their final act, 2 parents sent their infant child to Earth. The rocket carrying him escaped just before the planet exploded. That child grew up to become Superman. I've witnessed him save the Earth many times. I can attest that the stories are true. Hope shines from the man. It's inspiring to see. I used to wonder how it's possible, an orphan alone on a foreign world, different from everyone around him. Where does the hope come from? There's a simple answer. Superman has hope because he didn't experience the immeasurable tragedy of Krypton. He doesn't know what I know. Everything dies. And I just love that. Some of the previous books do it a lot better as they're establishing the origin of Carter Hall, aka Hawkman. But this book is about one of his many past lives, as we discovered in his origin, that his past lives aren't just on Earth, but across time and space, and Carter Hall was once a Kryptonian, which is really, really kind of cool. And this whole book, one of the things I was loving as I was reading it, is just fascinating me, is like, wow, what would it have been like maybe if we would have gotten to see this character, come to Earth and basically be a Superman. So this book is actually very hard to review. I watched Bat's review, and he goes on, the theme of his review is about how this is just 2 men talking the whole book. And that's really not far off. Carter Hall, our current Hawkman, shows up to Krypton, and like in the previous stories, he's not showing up in a sense that he's physically going there. These books kind of have a what's that story? The Christmas Carol, where it's like he goes the days of Christmas past, the ghosts of Christmas past, all that stuff, and he like sees his past selves. This has the similar type thing here. He's seeing his past selves in a physical vision. He can interact, but he's not physically. This isn't really physically happening. At least I don't think. I think you know what I mean, especially if you've been reading it. But anyways, each time that he's gone to the past, he's done this like sort of slip into time and space out of reality into this thing, and he interacts himself. His past self is hostile to him. So he comes up and he's like, Catterall? I don't know how you pronounce this, Catterall. I'm assuming it's the most, however, it sounds like Carter Hall. Catterall. Please don't be alarmed. I'm Carter Hall. I've traveled a long way to find you. I'm not your enemy. I didn't come to fight. I'm not going to fight you, Carter Hall. I think I know why you're here. I'm sorry, we're out of time. And then, oh, look at this. I mean, it's tragic but beautiful at the same time. You see Krypton. Krypton is dying, and they're in this building, and you can just see, the planets going away. All that Krypton was then. My God, I was here for the end. I mean, yes, you don't seem surprised to see me. The last two of us I met, they both tried to kill me. Oh, I've got questions. But you being here is something more of a comfort. I'll leave it at that. And so the two talk about mostly about the Deathbringers, but there's a kind of a quaint little scene here where he's like, if it helps, there are survivors. One is a friend of mine. On Earth, we call him Superman. Here, he would be called Kal-El. Jor-El's boy? You know him? I know Jor-El. His niece Kara is a student of mine. What a small world. She's a bright child. Shows a real penchant for history and anthropology. We had a lesson scheduled for today, but come closer. I'd like very much for you to see what she and I have been working on. So then we get to see this sort of record, sort of technological record of Krypton. And this is just a visualization of it. This is Krypton. The mistakes and majesty, the tragedies and triumphs, our people. So it's interesting that they tie Kara into this, and we can see some different things here. Now, my nubness to DC doesn't catch all the Easter eggs here. I mean, I recognize Doomsday and Brainiac, and we've got the Green Lantern. I'm assuming it's the Green Lantern of the Krypton sector, but I don't know why he's an alien, but I'm sure there's a reason. Is this Nightwing? I'm going to have to ask Bats about that. Of course, we got Zod. I don't know why. I guess Zod was that important. Or maybe that's not Zod. Maybe that's just the house Zod. And it's Anyways, there's a lot here. Maybe Bats, if you're watching this video, educate me on this piece here. There's little pieces that I don't know all the stuff. Or any of you guys viewers, I'm not just Bats, I'm sorry, I'm not just talking to him. If any of you guys know, I think this is Morgul. I'm not really familiar with that or who these are. Obviously, it's the House of L symbol. There's a lot here. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs that I would like to know more about. He's like, it's amazing. Yes, I'm glad someone gets to see it. So he's like, I write in journals. It's like, there's a tangibility in ink and paper that technology will never capture, a permanency. Sometimes I wonder who I'm writing to. One day you'll know. For now, just keep writing. Words carry across continents and oceans, time and space themselves. I have no words to capture Krypton. And that got me really thinking, as my imagination was like, oh shit. It's interesting. It's like he is going back in time and space and seeing his past selves. But what about his future self? Are we going to see that? Are we going to see a future Carter Hall coming to him? That would be strange and like really cool. I don't know where this story is going, but I'm really, it's like grabbing me. And so there's a lot of dialogue that goes on here, and you can see, normally in comics, this is like a turnoff. You're just like, oh, it's so dull. But Venditti has the hooks in. That first 7 issues of Hawkman is so good. And when you get to issue 7 and you get Hawkman's true origin, and you get to the end and you realize like what's going on, a big twist, and like you're just like, what? And then now it's coming to Krypton, and you're seeing that was once a Kryptonian. And here's this super weapon. The whole reason he's come here, he's got the ship, and the ship is what brought him here, if you remember. So he's thinking, okay, there's got to be a super weapon, and there is. I should tell you about the weapon. That is what I'm here for? It would be if it were completed. The best science I was able to assemble. I'd hoped to shield Krypton and destroy the Deathbringers, but we Kryptonians went and destroyed the planet ourselves. All my work is meaningless now. It's the size of Midway City. How do you expect me to move it? That was never the intention. Whenever the Deathbringers returned, you were supposed to lead them here, where the weapon would be waiting. That's over now, and now Hawkman's like frustrated and upset, and he's like, wow, there's got to be more. There has to be schematics, technology, anything. Think. And then Qatar All is just like, I wish it were true. I failed. And he's like, damn you. And he's like, ends the computer simulation, because it was just like showing him the imagery apparently of it. And so then we have some conversation about how he's like, I wish you could come with me and all this stuff. And Qatar All like, we can't. This is your journey. I'm meant to end here. He's like, oh, the light, it's the blur. Usually this is when I return, but I don't return until I get what I needed. And he's like, perhaps you did. Perhaps we both did. And now they're on the ship. And he's like, is this usually part of it as well? No. Maybe it's because we're still touching. Incredible. So you found the old ship. Then that makes sense. I don't suppose we could hold hands forever. No one cheats death, least of all us. And so they have like a last moment. He's like, goodbye, thank you. And I know it seems kind of boring as I'm like reading this. I assure you, it's really compelling. And if you just picked up this issue by itself, maybe not so much, because you don't have that whole backstory. You got to read issues 1 through 7. I implore you. It's fantastic. We see Krypton explode. He's like, no. A world of life and beauty discovers is yet to be made, obliterated. I feel the loss all over again. And then, Qatar All said, I must be the weapon. I don't know how, but I must find a way. When we get to the end, I pray there's still time, and we see Earth. Shakum, Earth. You have harbored the great betrayer. You will be judged. The Deathbringers have returned. And again, we don't ever see him clearly, and I love how this book does this. That's really great storytelling, I think. Just keep teasing the audience. I don't care about this Wonder Comics crap. This is another great book. Not as great as, it's not the best issue so far. I think issue 7 was the best, which is the culmination of the last arc. This is the beginning of the new arc. And it sets up a lot. You see the Deathbringers are now at Earth. Things are starting to ramp up. If you're like me, I had so much bias and prejudice towards Hawkman. I used to think Hawkman was stupid and dumb and corny. I don't know about old Hawkman. This is the first Hawkman books I've ever read. I picked them up based on recommendations by everyone. And Robert Venditti's resume, and I was like, you know what? I got to get over myself and try something new. Don't just judge books by its cover, as they say. Give it a shot. What's it gonna hurt? I'm buying Bendis Supermans for, I can't be buying Bendis Superman and then stick my nose up to Hawkman just because got a hang up, from my younger days when I didn't like DC. So I was like, I tried it. And sure enough, man, Venditti sold me on Hawkman. I talk about this in the advocating video. You should really watch it. It's a long video, but it's 7 issues, and I spoil the books from a plot standpoint, but I don't spoil the reading of the book. I don't cover the whole book. I just touch on some of the key points. Definitely, they're worth reading. I just read this book a second time before I did the review because I had read it before and I was going to review it today, and I was like, I'm kind of cloudy. So let me read it again, and I enjoyed it just as much the second time. These are great. These are the comics that you want. These are the move the needle books. This is the stuff that DC should be doing more of. Not Wonder Comics, not Bendis stuff. This is stuff you need to buy. You need to vote with your wallet and show DC that's what it's about. Hawkman number 8 was extraordinarily difficult to review, and I apologize if my review didn't come off that exciting or compelling to you. If you see the subject matter of the book, it's just a lot of drama, a lot of just discussion and dialogue, and it's difficult to show. If it was about action shots, I could show you the artwork and everything to give you something to see. But this is just a lot of story, and I don't want to just read the book to you, but I assure you, the world building, the mythology, the character development, the storyline, the plot, all of this are A+ works here. Especially given the relation to the industry it is today. If I would have read this book back in the early 90s, late 80s, when I think comics were at their best, this would have stood out to me then too. This is rock solid. My prejudice has been completely wiped. If I can only buy just like 2 DC comics, this would be one of them, for sure. If I had to, this will be one of the last things I pull off my drop list, and I'm definitely afraid that DC is going to cancel this to low sales because it's Hawkman. Hawkman's not a popular title, and I completely understand why. As someone that had prejudice towards the book and the characters, I understand why. It's never been interesting. The guy looks corny. The name's not necessarily bad. People say that he has got a bad name, but I think Hawkman sounds cooler than Batman. I think just Batman is cool because the character's cool, so the name has been made to sound cool. But once you see how cool Hawkman is, honestly, you'll change your mind and it won't sound as bad. Don't go off this corny picture. The book is better than this. Although I like the art. It's cool in that old Alex Ross kind of way. I don't know who the artist is. I'm not sure if they said, but please give this book a try. I cannot recommend it enough. The 2 best things coming out of DC right now are Tomasi's Detective Comics and Hawkman. And that is saying something. I think DC is the best publisher right now. They've got some rocky bits. I bitch about Bendis. I bitch about Wonder Comics. I bitch about, some of the things that they're doing. Vertigo is like a lost cause. But that doesn't sink the entire ship, right? There's doing a lot of good things too. And it's important that we don't just focus on the bad, focus on the good. I mean, if a Bendis comic can turn you off of DC, then an awesome Hawkman comic should turn you on to DC. I mean, there's shining lights out there, and don't just turn away because of a few bad things. There's still a bunch of good apples. And this book is outstanding. I really thank you guys for watching. It's less than 20 minutes. I'm going to end it here. And before I babble on and on, I will be here next time with Hawkman number 9. Come back.